Couple
Right on
minutes.
time as far as I'm concerned.
Perfect. Well, certainly excited to get back at it. Can't thank our fans again enough for creating such an amazing atmosphere at Autzen. This entire year has been elite, and that's credit to our fans and the job that they've done and the impact they've made on that field. It was a lot of fun for our players. It was a tough game, a really tough win against a good team. So exciting for us. Certainly it doesn't get any easier because Oregon State's playing some really good football right now. We're ready to roll against them.
Start off with James here on the left.
And give us an idea of how different, if at all different, Bo's week will be this week, and at what point of diminishing returns of mental reps. Like if there's anybody on the offense, I'm not saying he couldn't be ready again, but is there a false assumption that, well, because he played, obviously he's going to be that much better off on Saturday, or is that the high degree of optimism and the treatment and et cetera will put him in a better spot?
Yeah, I think it's evaluated every single day. We'll see. We have a great medical staff. They do a good job. Bo understands. He's been playing the game for a long time. He understands the way his body feels. Obviously, he was able to go out there on Saturday, but keep evaluating as we get closer each game.
Jared Max, second on the left here.
Dan, just what did you see on the tape defensively, and was their performance on Saturday how you envision your defense playing this season?
You can go back and watch the tape. It's never as good and never as bad as you think it is at times. And there was a lot of plays that we feel like we could have performed a whole lot better. I think our guys played with great energy and juice. You created some takeaways. We felt like takeaways was going to be the difference in the game. Didn't realize we were going to turn it over. So that's a big piece. We needed every one of them, right? We needed every takeaway we were able to create on defense. But I thought at times we played with great energy, enthusiasm, and had a good understanding of what Utah was trying to do. Some guys came and did a good job performing.
All right, Matt.
I understand why so much tension was on Bo, but how close was Ryan to not being able to play on Saturday, and just what's his progression going to be like this week as well?
Yeah, I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about injuries, obviously, but we have a lot of tough kids. It's that time of year when you're banged up and you're hurting, and it's not week one anymore, right? So we have a lot of guys that are banged up, and Ryan's certainly one of those guys that's battled through it, made sure he's made a way to the field.
Back left, Troy.
His status is a little uncertain for Saturday, but how unique of a player is Jack Coletto for Oregon State?
Yeah, I was actually thinking back when he was at Arizona Western as a quarterback. I think I was at Memphis at the time, which was a long, long time ago, and recruiting. I remember watching him play, QB, and thinking he was a really, obviously a real talent. But now you watch him on fourth down lineup and carrying the ball, and the intensity he carries it with, and then he can turn around and sling the ball down the field too. He's a dynamic player. He's certainly different and a challenge for us to be prepared for.
Right here in the middle, Jared Dink.
What about this Oregon State offensive line stands out on tapes, specifically in the run game?
Extremely well coached, right? They're a team that runs wide zone stretch scheme, really well. Their quarterback gets them, into advantageous looks. He's able to make sure they take the ball the right direction, and these guys get good movement, right? They find seams and their backs run hard, really similar to the backs that we just saw this past week at Utah. They're north and south guys, but you can tell the O-line's really well coached. That really shows up.
Front left, James.
The status of a couple other guys with Forsyth, JPJ, who went down, and Chase, who tried to give it a go pregame. Just where do each of them stand as the week starts?
Yeah, I'm not talking about injuries.
On other personnel related, you have a couple of guys who are at 4 games in Ioli, Devin Jackson, and Ben Roberts, and they've all traveled before. Given that, will Kavika, Harrison Taggart, and Mells be more likely to go this week?
It doesn't. That really has no bearing on their availability.
Matt, on back right.
Stylistically, are there any similarities between Utah and Oregon State? Do they like to play maybe the same style of football?
There's some similarities, certainly some differences as well. Both really well-coached teams, right? I think we're playing some of the best coached teams at the end of the season here. I think that shows up. They game plan. They have, they try to create schematic advantages with the way they play. But certainly a little bit more, big personnel at times, 12, 21, some bigger personnel groups offensively that's a little bit different. And then defense right now, they're really rolling. They create some really unique looks. They've incorporated some simulated pressures, that are tough. But they just play really sound and physical.
All the way in the back.
Yeah, Coach, obviously their offense is a little banged up. Damian Martinez, 100 yards plus, 5 weeks in a row now. What about him is so unique, and what do you guys got to do to kind of neutralize his game?
Tackling is going to be really important in this game. We thought tackling was important in the last game. I think that's really important in this game. Again, they've done a good job. They have more rushing attempts than anybody else in the conference, game in and game out, and they do a good job of running the ball. They're committed to it. And they're able to find extra hats at the point of attack. So we're going to have some guys win some one-on-ones and then do a great job tackling when we get the opportunity.
Back on the left.
After the game, you said your team might play their best football with their backs against the wall when maybe people are doubting them. Why do you think your team is wired that way?
I don't know. I don't have necessarily an answer for that other than, there's no quit in any of the guys in our room. And, I think, other people can doubt, but that doesn't change the way we approach things.
Right here on the left, Jared.
Dan, I know you're not talking about injuries, but Stephen Jones did come back from an injury. Just how do you think he performed, and especially once JPJ came down?
Yeah, it was fun to see him get back on the field. He's been coaching so hard on the sideline these last few games. I know it was really important for him to get back out there and help his team, and he was able to help us. So I know he had a lot of fun. I know he's looking at that film saying, okay, what can I do better, which is, good. That's what we want him to do, but it was nice seeing him out there.
Front row.
Given the fervor over your decision on 4th down last week, if Bo doesn't pick up the 3rd down, 4th and 1 at the 41 minute to go, what do you do?
Probably go.
All the way back in the back again.
Coach, obviously, nameless, faceless opponent, but there's no underestimating what this rivalry is to everybody that lives in this state. Does it feel any different when you walk in to get prepared for this, knowing that it's Oregon State this week?
It doesn't take any. It doesn't take any extra, juice for our guys. I think they appreciate this game and knows what it means. I love rivalries when it comes to rivalries in college football. So this is certainly one of the great ones, and I think our guys are excited and ready to go play it.
On the right.
Beginning of the year, you were rotating running backs quite a bit, and obviously Bucky and Noah have played really well. Is it just those two guys have elevated themselves, or is there a strategic way of cutting down the carries for everybody else and just those two getting most of the reps lately?
No, I think they've performed well. I think we've got good backs across the board. A lot of it, again, is based on situation. We didn't go under center as much last game. Some of that's based on, the way our quarterback felt, right? The fact that we had a new center. Some of that might continue to change as we move forward. But we have good backs across the board that we feel real comfortable, carrying the rock.
Jared Mack on the left.
How much easier were your decision making or the process of kicking a field goal on Saturday with how good Camden Lewis has been this season?
Yeah, Cam's done a great job. When his number's been called, he's been able to answer, and that's something it's nice to know. So we can all rely on him to do his job consistently, and he's done a great job of it.
Back left, Earth.
Just now that you've lived in this state for a year with the proximity between these schools, have you experienced this rivalry in any way, just in terms of seeing Beavers fans out or interacting with them? Have you experienced this rivalry in any sort of way like that?
A little bit, nothing too crazy, right? It feels like most of them stay up in Corvallis, and I kind of hang around Eugene.
James.
Given that Jamal's got 2 targetings, just how much more do you emphasize because of what the extra penalty is? Should he get a 3rd, and what that would mean, given you're at this point in the season, and a 3rd would be really high stakes for what you guys have ahead?
Yeah, well, again, we want to continue to coach it well, and we're not doing that to the level we need to do it. And I think it's shown up and it's hurt us a couple times. So hopefully we can start doing a better job of that.
Matt.
You're wearing one right now, a sweatshirt for Division Street that you were promoting it too on social. Just the importance of NIL for your athletes and Division Street. I think Duck Rising, another one too. Just why is it important to you to push this stuff right now on social for you?
Yeah, I've said it before that college football is about to become the haves and the have-nots, and luckily, here at Oregon, we're in a place where we're one of the haves. We're in a place that's being innovative and finding ways to grow our student athletes brand. What's fun about this stuff is, our students actually partnered with designers and actually got to help create a clothing line, create a brand work with real professionals. It's not just a collective. It's an opportunity to actually grow professionally at the same time, and it supports our players. And that'll always be my goal as a coach, is looking for opportunities to support our players. So any way that we're able to pour into the growth of name, image, likeness, and growing the brand for our players, and doing it in a way that's going to help them become more successful in life. That's something we want to be able to do here, and certainly grateful for Division Street, Ducks Rising, all those groups that do so much for us.
Second row on the left here.
On Bo's interception by Clark Phillips, Cam McCormick makes a diving tackle on that. Can you talk about the impact on that and what that play was like from your perspective?
Yeah, I was glad to see him get tackled down. We've been really good at delivering those, and empty was really a productive formation for us, and it's been really productive for us all year. And that's the first time we've really, been picked in that situation. So it was really an elite play by them. That was a big time, break on the ball. We want to get the ball there a little bit quicker, but obviously getting them down was big.
James.
OSU is really extreme in its third and short conversions, and it's all runs. How is it that they are that effective when I'm supposing that many of the defensive coordinator loads the box, and yet they are still converting at that high a rate? And then how important is it then to, as it is all the time, but to knock them off that schedule of doing what they're clearly very good at?
Yeah, really for Coach Smith, third down, especially third and short, is second down, right? They have they plan on going for it on fourth. They're really aggressive on fourth. And most of the time, a lot of those runs are QB runs, right? Whether it's using Coletta or somebody like that. So when they use 11, you have to use 11 to stop them. And if you want to be really aggressive on defense and get an extra hat in the box, he's also proven that he'll throw a bomb, right? So it's tough to commit every hat down to the run. The key is really staying on schedule on first and second down defensively and not giving them those third and short opportunities. They're going to run it on third. You have to be prepared for it. And when they do, you want to have the extra hat. But again, it's going to come down to somebody winning a one-on-one when they're using 11 guys.
Second row middle, Jared.
Just curious what you made of Dante Thornton's performance on Saturday and what he's kind of done with this opportunity with Chase still being out.
Yeah, really proud of Dante. I think all year he's positioned himself and gotten better as the year's gone on, and he's proven that he's got elite speed and size. And I think those traits really carry over, especially when we push the ball down the field. Had some really big catches down the field on Saturday night. But he's a pleasure to work with every day. I enjoy, everything that Dante brings to our program. He's an awesome kid. He comes in here with a smile. And was actually experiencing a lot of adversity this weekend himself. So for him to go have that performance, I know that meant a lot to him and certainly meant a lot to our team.
Back left, sure.
Just particular in the last 2 weeks, Oregon State's dealt with a lot of key injuries. Obviously, they've still been able to pull off 2 convincing victories. What does that kind of say about the depth over there?
Yeah, it's that time of year where people are banged up, and I don't think anybody's playing completely healthy, but they've certainly done a great job of having impressive wins amidst adversity, right? And I think it shows a couple things. One, that it's a really well-coached team. Coach Smith's done a really great job there developing over time, and I think they've proven that they can win in unique ways, right? Lean on their best personnel when needed, and do it several different ways. So great job by them. Credit to them and their staff, and credit to the people on their roster.
On the right, Matt.
Now knowing what Bo can or can't do in a game, does that maybe allow you more opportunities this week to expand the playbook of what you can do or schematically be a little bit more advanced this week than maybe last week?
Maybe. I don't know.
James.
Defensively, Oregon State has a couple of really peculiar extreme splits in that a ton of their interceptions are on first down, in particular inside opponent territory, and yet they play off to where they keep the lid on the coverage by way of deep passes. How do they make those two things work in that you're not having a lot of pressure to keep it underneath, but at the same time have 7 interceptions on first down inside opponent territory? And how do you get that across the bow on P and 10 in those early drive spots?
I'll tell Bo to watch this interview. You explained it really well. Ultimately, you get more picks when you play with vision break defense. A lot of times that's zone, but they play a good complement of zone defense and also playing really like quarters man off, right, where they're able to have good vision. They break on the ball really well. I think they're really talented at DB. It's one of their strong positions, and they do a good job of coaching it. But they pitch a lot of different looks at you. This is one of the well-coached defenses that we're going to go against. And, you got to take what's there. You can't take more. And we just can't be greedy. We got to stay on schedule and do a good job of that.
Last question, James.
he was the only scholarship senior not to go through senior day, and he said he was seeking a waiver, but is it decided or just very confident that Popo will be coming back and getting that extra year?
I know Popo wants to, and I know we certainly want to have him back. So we feel very confident that he's going to be able to do that.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your
Appreciate
time.
you guys.